great conversations going on out there, and that's part of what's fun about coming to cooking class. There's still a little bit up here if anybody's still hungry. We've eaten a lot of it, that's good. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that are in your packet. And then Monica is going to do all the wonderful educational part about sprouting things and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I said over here because these are the things that I use to sprout. In your packet, one side is health information and all kinds of helpful little tidbits of things, and the other side is all recipes. And on that side that has the other information, you're going to see Monica showed me a picture of this one chart, this one that says Silk and Sprout. And she said, I really like this one. And I said, okay. So I went and found that one and I printed it out. It didn't print very well. But as I was looking at that one, I came across a half a dozen others that I liked. So you have 5 of them to choose from, whichever one's easiest for you to use. Everybody has a different way of looking at things. This one is probably the simplest one of the bunch. And it just tells you which of seeds, how long you have to soak them and how long it takes to sprout them. The one that says sprout chart, it's all in black and white. That one's probably the most complex one of the bunch that I sent you for you because it tells you what method to put them, whether to put them in a tube or drip things, or tells you. One of the ones that I really liked was, I think my favorite is this one. I like it for 2 reasons. One, it tells you if I put in 3 tablespoons of alfalfa seeds, I should end up with 4 cups of sprouts. So that tells me if I only need a few sprouts, I don't want to put that much in. If I need more, I need to use more. It also tells you how long to soak, how often to rinse, and how many days it's going to take you before you can harvest those. And just looking at that alfalfa one makes me realize why my sprouts are only at the stage they're at. This one is nice as well. I probably used these 2 the most when I was working this time. And because, like I said, I hadn't sprouted in a long time, I used to do my bean sprouts a lot because I really liked them. I like the flavor of them and I like the texture of them. They're nice to throw into a salad. But this is how I used to sprout. I just had a mason jar and I had bought some of these little rings that just, it goes in a regular ring that goes on a jar. You just buy these little puppies. That's the simplest. And what I have in here is sprouted wheat. That was supposed to go into a kind of bread that I was going to make for tonight that I ran out of time because it's one of those ones that takes a long time to cook on a very low temperature. So the other one that I decided to get, because I wasn't sure what I had done with those, although I found them in the back of my pantry. I was looking on Amazon and I came across these. And I liked this one in particular for 2 reasons. One, I love this little rack, which at home I had this one sitting on there because I had already used up these. It puts it at a tilt so that you don't get a puddle of water inside that can sometimes cause your seeds to rot instead of if you didn't drain them well. I liked the plastic lid and I like that kind of a lid. But what was really neat about this particular set, most things it'll tell you in one of those papers that tells you about sprouting. Most seeds like to start germinating in the dark, which means you're going to have to stick them in a cupboard or cover them with something or whatever. And you're going to fight with me now, aren't you? This one came with 2 little sleeves that puts it in the dark no matter where I set it. So I can still leave it sitting on my counter so that I won't forget to rinse it. And then once they start their little sprouting, I can just pull it off. So I liked that. That was a selling point for me. This little one, is this like the one that you have?
This is the one that I have.
Oh, so yours is pretty much the same.
Yeah, it doesn't have this tray top though.
This one is for putting the water in, and it has little holes around the bottom, and each one has concentric circles in it. So what you do is you stack them up, you put your rinse water in the top, and it goes trickle, 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 trickle all the way down to the bottom, and then you empty out this one. And then the next time you go to do it, oh, that was you take and you put that one on the top, so that you're rotating them around so that they all at some point get the top and the advantage of being the first one to get fresh water. So I like that one too. And the fact that this has a little lid on it, nothing's going to fall in my sprouts, and they're just going to sit there and be nice as well. So those were the 2 that I purchased this time, and this is the one that I had before. Monica told me, and so I went and got, this came from Winco, this costs $13 I think, citric acid powder, and you put 1 teaspoon per quart of water, right? And it helps retard anything bad growing in your sprouts while they're sprouting. Where I filter my water in a Brita filter, and then I put a little bit of that in it, and then use it to do my sprouts. So that was my process. And so I'm going to let her talk more about, she's going to talk a whole lot more about sprouts and whatever, but I just wanted to let you know she's more experienced than I am, so that was I'm a beginner, this is what I did, and it worked. Yay! I always like it when it works. There's 2 other things I'd like to talk about that are in this packet, and then I'm going to turn the rest of the time over to Monica.
We're going to take as much time as you can.
No, because you're the one that has the answers to the questions that they really want to hear about. How many of you have heard about the Mediterranean diet? Mediterranean diet is really a good diet, and it can be a vegan or plant-based diet as well. You'll notice in the stuff that I printed out, they will talk about fish and a few other things because that's, but I did do one in particular that is based on vegan, if you were a vegan. The Mediterranean diet, you know, people are always, oh, this is the greatest diet in the world, you gotta do this diet, you'll lose weight, you'll do whatever. Well, the Mediterranean diet is one that is just a healthy diet. It's a healthy way to eat. I went more years ago than I want to try and figure out at the moment. 1999, was that 25 years ago? Went with my daughter to Europe. And the one thing we discovered as we were traveling around with her senior class was that they eat totally different than we do. They stop at the little market on the way home and they pick up all their fresh stuff and they take it home and they fix their meal and they eat it. They don't do, you walk into a grocery store, which is a grocery store is very tiny. They don't have supermarkets. They have little grocery stores and hardly anything in there is pre-done, processed. You know, other than pastas, and they do like their biscuits with their tea. But they tend to do very high fiber, lots of fresh, and that is fantastic. It's what's healthy. It's what God said we're supposed to be eating, and we don't always. So I've stuck these in here just for your own enjoyment more than anything else, to just take a look at them, because if you're buying seasonal fruits and vegetables, that's when they're at their cheapest. If you're going to use canned beans or lentils or whatever, they're cheap protein sources. Find places to buy them where your prices are low, but you're not compromising on the quality. You know, sometimes when you buy a store brand of something that's canned, you go, oh, there's a reason why I don't buy this brand. You know, because the quality, lots of times store brands are the seconds through the canneries. And so
they have things like sodium metabisulfate, which is sulfur dioxide
in them.
Yes, and that can, cause a lot of health.
Whole grains, which you know we promote whole grains all the time. But there's just some really good tips in here and just some ideas to think about. You know, they have some studies in here that show that the chronic diseases that we tend to deal with as we get older, most of them are related to how we've eaten or how we are eating. And so that's why I stuck that one in there. The other one is on the benefit of exercise. And now that the weather is most of the time nice, it just can't make up its mind. There's 3 little short things in there on the benefits of exercise, ways to exercise, the easy ways to exercise more, and even one of them's on scheduling meal prep and exercise time. How to figure out how do you put that into your day so that you actually do those things. I am thankful for Joanne, who I think is hiding in the kitchen at the moment, because she's the one that got me going to the gym, and now I go to the gym 3 days a week. I decided that I was not going to spend the winter sitting in the house, and I've been really glad for that. Now I'm just glad that the weather's getting better because I have so many things to do outside. But that's my little bit of in addition to food stuff that's in here. When we do the drawing tonight, we have 2 books on bread, and then some others, a couple of cheese ones and one other one to pick from. And this gentleman, and I'll let her talk about him more, but Peter Reinhardt, we started putting this together, right? I keep getting these texts. Look at this video. Look at this article. Look at this. And I'm going, oh my gosh, here she goes. And she does have a very scientific mind. And I'm thankful for that because she researches and she reads and she knows what she's talking about when she goes to tell you something. But this gentleman is the one who, he teaches how to bake bread in North Carolina. And his thing, he tells all of his classes, is that if the bread that you bake is not bringing out the flavors of the grains, then it's not a good loaf of bread. And so he's the one who has developed the sprouted pulp bread that she's trying to do now. Figure it out, because she's trying to figure it out not only as he's done it, but she's also trying to figure it out to do it with the sourdough starter that she likes to use.
And at our elevation, because North Carolina elevation is not the same as it is here, and the bread does not behave the same as it does there.
And she told you about that, and we're just learning to do sourdough.
Yeah.
It made a difference.
It's wild.
So she'll tell you a little bit more about him, I'm sure, because she was using his recipes to come up with what she was doing today. And you know, jot your little questions down or file them away in your brain, because she will answer questions. You can interrupt her, or you can
totally pop your head. Just ask them right away so we don't forget, and we can cover it right away.
Okay, all yours.
Okay.
Go.
Y'all know
you're just talking to me.
That have been here before know that I don't like being on camera, but I make exceptions for her.
Aren't I lucky?
We all are.
Okay, so sprouts. Something that I've learned recently, and one of the articles is in your packet. It's the essential of non-essential amino acids. It's by AminoScience. Read through that, go back to them, and I asked her to print, I wanted her to print out both articles, and she did the non-essential because it's a little easier to understand. The essential amino acid article gets into a lot more science, which, as she stated, I love science. I love how things work, and the science behind sprouting and what it does when you take a dry grain or a dry seed and you sprout it is phenomenal. They're basically, when you take a dry seed, you have one set of nutrients. Once you soak them and get a little teeny tail on it, it opens up or unlocks a whole nother level of nutrients. You sprout it a little bit longer, a couple days more, unlocks another level. And by the time you get to sprouts like these, you have unlocked, or even, like your lentil sprouts where you have like a half an inch to an inch sprout, you unlock all of the nutrients that are in that seed. You go from lentils, for example. Lentils are not a complete protein by themselves until you sprout them. Once you sprout them, it unlocks all of the essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids in that bean, and it is like a whole nother organism. This article talks a lot about your non-essential amino acids. One of them, I want you to take note, is number 2 on the standard non-essentials. It's arginine. That amino acid in itself, under normal circumstances for a healthy person, that is a non-essential amino acid. That means your body can produce that. When your immune system is under stress, when you are under stress and you're dealing with autoimmune, you're dealing with health issues, that becomes, your body quits producing that. That becomes a conditionally essential amino acid. That means you need to supplement that. And some of your sprouts will actually unlock that. Some of your seeds and your grains will actually unlock that when you sprout them. Meaning, like your sprouts, it's a big deal. Your essential amino acids, specifically methionine. That one is a detox for mercury and lead. We are in a society or in a
environment.
State, an environment, after the Industrial Revolution, when they started mining for lead and using lead. Lead is in everything now. It's in your foods, it's in the ground, it's in your exposure. They use it in casting for your metals. It's in so much, and it's finding its way into our food sources. Sprouting seeds, and if you go into the essential amino acid article, it'll actually give you a list of where you can find each of those those essential amino acids. Yeah.
And because I was bad and I didn't print that one out, everybody who filled out a card today with their email address on it will be getting that in your email, so watch for it.
It is a phenomenal article. If you can get past the science and kind of weed through that, and it took me a couple times reading through it to really grasp and really break down all of the components of these essential amino acids, and it's fascinating. And almost every single one of them you can find when you sprout your grains. It'll say legumes, or it'll say particular bean. You sprout those, it unlocks it. It's not necessarily the cooking process that unlocks it. It makes it fully bioavailable for your body to absorb completely. I thought that was just like really cool. There's a few of your sprouts that you need to be really careful with. Black beans, They talk a lot about black bean sprouts when you're weeding through recipes. You'll only get probably about a 50% success rate with your sprouts. So if you have been sprouting for a week and you have 50% of your black beans, you're good to go. Don't push it because they have a lot of starch in them and you risk spoiling them. I threw out a whole batch because I waited too long. Let's see, chia seed is another one that you have to be really careful for because there is so much probiotics in there and there's so much starch in the grain. If you try to sprout them like you would a sprout, you risk bacterial growth in it, and you need to steam them before you eat them. Yeah.
Are you reading this off of one of your papers?
No, this is just like research. Sorry. They're videoing it. They're videoing it so you can reread. You can watch the video later after, once it's been posted. This is like a million different articles that I've gone through and read through and stayed up most of the night reading, just because it's so fascinating. It's stuff that it's hard to weed through everything. And I tried chia seed, and lo and behold, just to see if I could make it work, of course. And I threw a batch out because I couldn't keep them rinsed enough to keep that bacterial growth out. So if you're going to use chia seed, the best way to unlock all of the nutrients within chia seed is with the Rejuvelec. And that is your probiotic drink. Or liquid. Chia seeds. Chia seeds are also one that they say you can sprout. Now, I tried a million, not really a million, but I'm slightly exaggerating, different containers and trays, because there is a ton of people you find YouTube videos, you find TikTok, Pinterest saying, oh, you can use these containers and you can use these containers. Well, I want to know if it actually works. They say you can use bamboo paper towels and do microgreens on them. I will tell you that anything that I did on bamboo paper towels spoiled. It molded because there's not enough drainage. You've got to have that drainage. I took takeout containers that had been washed really well and sanitized. And I tried them both with and without paper towels. Now, the reason why I mentioned bamboo paper towels is because paper towels in and of themselves contain bleach and a lot of your chemicals, and that's not something you want in your food, at least for me. I'm really chemically sensitive. My children are chemically sensitive. We have a lot of chemical allergies in our house. So we've had to go chemical free for the most part. We can use regular paper towels, but if I'm using something for food, I have to be really careful. So anything that I used with paper towels as a base molded and spoiled like super fast. I have not tried it yet, but suppose, chia seed is like chia, everybody remembers that. It's basically a terracotta pot or something soaked in water, covered in chia seed, and then they sprout, right? I did not take, I ran out of time and I kept spacing it when I was in the store, but suppose you can take a terracotta tray, like a pot tray, soak it in water, drain out the water, pour your chia seed in and just mist it a couple times a day like you would do like a chia pet. It's a lot of work. You have to worry about not getting it too wet, not getting it too, whatever. It can be a little bit temperamental if you're using those for sprouts. If you want to do that for microgreens, you can, but I don't know if I feel confident enough in the manufacturing process because those are not made for food if they're going to have heavy metals in them. I don't trust. Personal opinion. If you soak your chia seed and you do use it for pudding, things like that. The fantastic thing about chia seed is you don't have to sprout them to get all of the nutrients. Everything in chia seed is bioavailable already. It has more amino acids, it has more omegas, and more balanced omegas than your flaxseed. And where your flaxseed, once the hull is crushed, it becomes, it goes rancid really fast, and it loses its bioavailability and its strength really fast once it's been ground and the hull has been cracked. Chia seed, you don't have to worry about that because you don't have to crack it for it to be fully bioavailable. It is a fully digestible seed without cracking the hull. A quarter cup of chia seed has as much calcium as a large glass of cow's milk, and it's fully bioavailable. So those of us that have dairy allergies don't have to worry about our calcium because it's right there and it's fully bioavailable, and it has all of your omegas, and it's more balanced than chia seed. Your broccoli sprouts. Now, I know a lot of people have issues with broccoli, like gastrointestinal issues that cause a lot of gassiness, a lot of tummy upset for some people. Broccoli sprouts are a lot easier to digest than broccoli in and of itself. A 3-ounce serving of broccoli has 2 grams of protein. It has 60% of your vitamin C, 10% of your daily value of your vitamin A, 6% of your calcium, and 82% bioavailability for sulforaphane, which is a anti-inflammatory. Sorry. It is 100 times more than once you've sprouted them, if you bruise them, or basically once you eat them, once you chew them up. It is 100 times more of the chemicals that release the anti-inflammatory than if you actually have broccoli.
Broccoli sprouts.
Broccoli sprouts. They specifically make sulforaphane sprouting mixtures. It's highly anti-inflammatory. Let's see, going back to lentils, 3/4 cup, which is about 100 grams, I believe. 9 grams of protein, 247 milligrams of potassium, 1.6 milligrams of zinc, and 0.27 milligrams of copper per unit. And once again, it's not a complete protein unless it's sprouted.
Did you say that was wheat?
That was lentils.
Lentils, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can sprout things like teff, which to me it was like, okay, it's such a tiny seed, it's almost a microscopic seed, it's so tiny. Well, how do we sprout teff? If you go to the store and you get the reusable coffee filters, it is the perfect little sprouting trays for teff. And then you get little grass and I don't know if anybody likes wheatgrass. I can't stand wheatgrass. This grows like grass, but it doesn't have that overwhelmingly sweet, gross flavor that wheatgrass does. And you can take it out and you can mix it in with your other seeds and your other sprouts and everything. Now, let's see. When you're kidney beans. Do not sprout kidney beans without cooking them afterwards. Kidney beans in particular have a chemical, and I don't remember what the chemical is. They are very, very, very toxic raw. Very toxic raw. Do not eat raw kidney bean sprouts. But once you sprout them, if you want to steam them, make sure they're cooked all the way through. You steam them pretty well, or grind them into a pulp and you can use them in like for bean burgers, or if at some point you want to try to conquer sprouted Ezekiel bread with pulp like I did, that is an adventure in and of itself. I'm working on that one. Hopefully at some point in the next month or two I will have that nailed down. There's really no recipes for sprouted pulp breads out there, except for the only ones that we found are in Peter Reinhardt's books, in some of them. He has a couple in here, but I found because of our elevation, it makes it the water content makes it a little bit tricky to make bread with. So I'll keep working on that and I'll let everybody know. That's been an adventure in and of itself. But so if you do kidney beans, make sure that you cook them after you sprout them if you're going to eat them. Obviously, if you're going to eat them. Other than that, if your soaking processes, if you're using trays like this, do not soak your sprouts or your seeds. If you're using these, every time I've soaked the seeds before I put them in here, they've molded. They go in here dry. Now, if you are using jars, soak them. Can be a little bit tricky. Your seeds, your smaller seeds like your broccoli sprouts, your alfalfa, your salad sprouts, only soak them no more than 6 to 8 hours, max. If you are soaking for grains, do a full 12. Lentils, no more than 5 to 8, otherwise it almost drowns your sprouts. And they won't sprout as well. If you are doing kidney beans, chickpeas, white beans, black beans, do a full 24-hour soak. I had much better success once I soaked them for 24 hours than that just overnight soak for some reason. Yeah?
What type of water are you using?
I use filtered water because I can't tolerate fluoride. My body doesn't process fluoride, and it actually kills my kidneys.
I was told there's no fluoride in Idaho water.
There is.
Is there?
Oh yeah. I threw a kidney stone the week before Thanksgiving and went into kidney failure on Thanksgiving Day. Yep. And it took me 3 months. I started having reactive hypoglycemia. And it took me about 3 months to get my kidneys cleaned out and restarted. I'm getting like a little emotional, it's scary. I've got 2 little ones at home, so now, and if you boil your water, it actually intensifies the toxicity of fluoride. It does not boil out. You can boil chlorine out, you cannot boil fluoride out. So filter your water. It's a big deal. Filter your water. You can boil it out later, huh?
Like reverse osmosis?
You can, yeah. That should, I believe that should. I haven't done all the research into reverse osmosis.
Can you distill it out?
Huh?
Can you use distillation to get it out?
You can, yeah. The problem if you're going to drink distilled water, you need to add in your salt back into it. Otherwise, that'll actually dehydrate your body. Our bodies are fascinating. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. Like we really are. So typically I use glass jars. I ran out of time. So I have these jars. Now I have bottles. And because I'm using so much filtered water for this process, I filter nonstop when I'm doing sprouts. As Lorraine said, you can take a teaspoon of citric acid per quart of water. So 4 quarts to a gallon. I actually buy my citric acid in bulk because I use it in different skincare products. And I just keep a teaspoon in here. And it is super easy it dissolves really fast. And I do a gallon at a time, sometimes 4 or 5 gallons at a time. And it dissolves within just a few shakes. When you're rinsing and I found the best is if I soak my grains or soak whatever sprouts I'm doing, if I'm soaking them, I do it in a citric acid water. It helps the nutrition. It helps kind of boost it helps boost them and helps make them grow faster and grow better and healthier. It will give your sprouts a little bit tangier, a little bit more of a sour bite to them. I like that. I'm kind of a savory person. I like sweet stuff too, but I like the sprouts to have a little bit more of that tangy, so I didn't mind it. But it also retards any of your bad bacteria. Makes it, like I said, makes them grow faster. Thanks to our amazing neighbor, he had a bunch of sprouting trays. Him and his wife had a bunch of sprouting trays and different sprouting things.